Well, hey everybody, welcome. I think people are still trickling in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got this may seem like a little bit longer of an orientation, but we're jam-packed with information, so make sure that you're paying attention. But as you all probably saw, this meeting's being recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel and sent out. So if there's something you missed or you need to step away for kids or grab a bite or something, know that this information will be available for you to re-review. My name is Steve Olson. I'm one of the program managers here alongside my teammates, Amber, Chrissy, and Mike S. We are all here and been with the program for several years since its inception. And we just want to say, first of all, thank you and welcome. We've really got a great program here. And as you can see on this page, this is a consortium. So we have multiple universities that are represented. So many of you might have been confused. Some of you probably talked to me or someone else. Oh, I got
Sorry,
muted
Steve, I
already.
totally muted you. So
I got
sorry.
I got child locked on the rear windows. So this is a consortium. Some of you might have been confused because you saw like Purdue's website, and then you saw Ivy Tech's application, and you see I work at UNC Charlotte. This is just a federal consortium. So we have multiple universities across the U.S. and we all work together to provide this training to you all. So we're really proud of that. And this is all funded by the federal government. So through the National Center of Academic Excellence, and you can see that fine print here at the bottom. Um, so again, Steve Olson, I'm at UNC Charlotte. I work full-time as a systems administrator for enrollment management. And I work part-time here on the program a few days a week as a program manager, doing a little bit of recruitment, a little bit of employer engagement, a little bit of outreach, and mostly just talking to folks like yourself who are in the program. Many of you are military or first responders, so I'd like to say thank you. I'm an Army veteran. We have several military on our staff as well. So thank you so much for your service. And if you are military and you're transitioning, Godspeed. I know that the transition process can be difficult in many ways, but hopefully CWCT can be something that will help you along that way, not just to gain industry recognized certificates and certifications, but also to do a little bit of networking, work with your peers. And I also encourage you to go to some of our programming events. We periodically have monthly or every couple months, some sort of career event where we have a guest speaker come and do a workshop. So again, keep your eye out for those. I'm going to go through the agenda really quickly, but before I do that, the last thing I'll say is that this program is not designed to be something that is a checkbox. It's quick, it's easy. Our biggest kind of, and I want to set the stage here really for this program. Our job is because we don't make any money on this program. Our job is to make sure that you are getting either upskilled in your current job, you're entering cyber for the first time, or you're gunning for that promotion you've been working hard for. So we have all walks of life. We have folks with cyber degrees. We have folks with no degree. We have folks that are coming from a different industry. I just want it doesn't matter where you're from. I'm thankful you're here, but I also want to set the stage that, be prepared to talk to your instructors, be engaged, do your work and study because and I'm not saying it's going to be hard for everybody, but it's definitely going to be time consuming to a certain degree. But this is an excellent program and we're very proud of it. And we've got some of the best instructors teaching it. And we've got staff as well to help. So I'm going to quickly just talk through our agenda. So when I'm done blabbing here in the next 4 or 5 minutes, Chrissy is going to kind of do an overview of our program and talk about all this stuff like, do I have to come to class? Do I get credit for watching the live lectures? What support do I have? How do I log in? So that's really important. Then you're going to hear from all the faculty in the program, or at least most of them are here tonight to introduce themselves. We got a very diverse group of faculty we're quite proud of. From 4:45 to 5:25 Central Time, Chrissy is going to go through Chrissy Knows It All, I think we call it. And there's a recording of that on YouTube just by itself, but that is the part that, in my opinion, might be the most important because it's how you log into your classes and your modules and your live lecture. And if you can't do that, you can't do the program. So make sure you pay close attention to Chrissy as she talks through how to access your Ivy Learn, your My Ivy, your Zoom, and all of that. Our PIs, and in the grant world in higher ed, if you're not familiar, a PI stands for Principal Investigator. And those are our faculty that are in charge of the program and oversee it. Dr. Tu is our director. He'll talk first about the digital forensics pathway. Dr. G from University of Tennessee, Chattanooga will talk about systems administration path. And Dr. Farina Sakheb here at UNC Charlotte will talk about AI. Lastly, we may have time for this, we may not. We may briefly touch on some of our engagement stuff that we do outside of our program, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And before I turn it over to back to Amber and to Chrissy, last thing I'd really say is just we are here to help you. So if you see, I have my Charlotte stuff on. Chrissy and Amber have got their cool CWCT. But we're here to help you. So I mean, if it's a question about your class registration, the pathways, what other stuff we have a variety of employer partners and nonprofits that we work with as well. There's no questions about question. Reach out to us, and if we have an answer, we'll answer, and if not, we'll try and point you in the right direction. We're all in this together. So thank you all for being here. Welcome to CWCT, and I'll turn the mic back over to Amber and Chrissy to take you through the rest of this night. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Yep, so I'm going to introduce Chrissy next. So she's going to go over that program overview that Steve had mentioned. So Chrissy, let me know when you're ready.
Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, hold on, I'm missing, okay, that part. All right, hello everybody, I'm Chrissy Duncan. So you all have gotten emails from me, so you've seen the name, now you can put a face to the name. I am the program manager through Ivy Tech, and I do a big portion of this because Ivy Tech is the platform that you will use for your classes. But I am here today to talk this first part about the program in general. So first of all, for those of you who are a little late coming in, this is being recorded. It is being put on YouTube, as well as the link to the recording will be sent out. It's typically by Friday. We try to get it by Friday, but it will be emailed to you, as well as this PowerPoint that you're about to see will also be emailed to you. So if you miss anything, you can always go back and review it, as well as in this PowerPoint, there's links that can be clicked on, those kinds of things. If you have any questions, please just ask them in the chat. Either they will be answered by somebody on the team, or more than likely they will be answered at some other point during this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started on the program overview. So this is the Cybersecurity Workforce Certification Training Program, or CWCT for short. And this first part is just going to be a very brief overview. What should you expect from this program? In the CWCT program, we have 3 training paths that we offer. There's the artificial intelligence, the digital forensics, and the system admin training path. As an applicant or as a participant, you got admitted under one track of study. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about additional tracks and additional classes and those kinds of things here in a little bit. But know that as a participant, you are only guaranteed one track of study. Either AI, digital forensics, or system administration. As a part of your track of study, each track of study has 6 non-credit college level courses. So even though these are non-credit courses, they are still of a college level, which is why you had to take an English assessment, a math assessment, and an IT assessment. We needed to make sure that you could perform at a college level to be able to have some success in these classes. Our courses are offered through live virtual lectures, okay? Everything about this program is virtual. There is nothing on a campus that you need to be a part of. So it's all virtual. For each course, or for each lecture, you are going to have 6 hours per week of these live virtual lectures. Now, we have participants from all over the world. We have active duty military overseas. We have law enforcement and first responders that work really weird shift work, where they could be working for several days and then have several days off. And we have people from all over in different time zones. So we know not everybody is going to be able to, there's not one time time that we can get a class that everybody's going to be able to attend. So all lectures are recorded for participants who cannot attend the live virtual lecture, okay? Now, at these lectures, attendance is still going to be taken. That is just more for data purposes. Attendance at the live lecture is not a part of your grade for the course, okay? We take attendance for, again, for data purposes. So if you cannot attend the live lectures, that's okay. You just need to make sure you're watching those recordings as well as submitting your assignments by the due dates. Okay. And as I mentioned, there's no in-person offerings. Okay. Each session is going to be an 8-week session where you will take 1 to 2 courses per session. So if you think about it, if you have to take 6 courses and you're taking 1 to 2 courses per session, you're going to finish in 3 to 6 sessions. And again, each of these sessions is 8 weeks long. And then there is typically a 2-week break in between each 8-week session. That's when we're processing grades, sending new registration emails, those kinds of things. The only odd one is Christmas during the holidays. I think we tend to have a 3-week break or maybe even 4 weeks in between the sessions. But typically you're going to have 8 weeks of a class and then a 2-week break and then 8 weeks of a class and then 2-week break, so on and so forth. Again, you're going to take 1 to 2 courses per session. You are not required to take 2 courses. And as a matter of fact, the number one reason why students are not successful in their classes is because of time commitment. And we're going to talk about time commitment several different times during this. So make sure you pay really close attention to that. You are not required to take 2 courses. So if you cannot commit the time that this program takes and you're currently registered for 2 courses, you may want to consider dropping down to 1. Most of our returning students, I'm going to say 75% of our returning students only take 1 course at a time because of the time commitment that this program takes. Okay. For each of your 6 courses, okay, 4 to 5 of the courses, depending on which training path you're a part of, may lead to an industry certification. So for example, our A+ class is going to train you to take the CompTIA A+ certification, okay? The odd one, the AI track is one that only has 4 certifications that are part of it. I believe digital forensics has 5 certifications, and system administration has 5 certifications, I believe, that are part of the track. And the PIs are going to talk about specifics about the tracks much later, so you'll be able to see those, okay? Our program now, some of you may have applied or know people who are in our original cohorts, and may have heard that we will give you 3 vouchers for this program, okay? We are under a new set of funding where we can only guarantee 1 certification voucher. Now, you will have the ability to request up to 2 additional vouchers for a total of 3, but those 2 additional vouchers will only be if we have funding available, okay? So under our current funding, you are only guaranteed 1 certification voucher that we will cover the cost for. And we will talk about that a little more in depth here in a little bit as well. Okay. Once you are all done with this program, you have finished all 6 of your courses, then you will earn a certificate of completion from the program. It'll be from the 4 consortium universities. So you will get a certificate of completion. Again, because these are non-credit courses, this is not an associate's degree or a certificate or anything like that. It's a certificate of completion that you have finished your 6 courses, okay? All right, so as I mentioned earlier, you are admitted under 1 track. You are only guaranteed 1 track of study within this program, okay? You must complete all 6 of your courses within your track of study per the curriculum that's set forth by the CWCT program, What does this mean? This means you cannot just pick and choose what courses you want to take, okay? I want to take ethical hacking from the system admin track, and I'm going to take CHFI from the digital forensics track. That's not the way it works, okay? You chose your track of study, you need to take those 6 courses, okay? And you must follow the curriculum as the established prerequisites are set, okay? You cannot take ethical hacking right away, okay? The prereqs for that are Cyber Ops and Security Plus, and the prereqs for Cyber Ops and Security Plus are A+, okay? There's a very specific order you have to take your courses in. You all should have received a registration, your registration options. If you have not seen that yet because you were just admitted, that may have just been sent today. Please make sure you check your spam folder. At the very end of that email is the curriculum, the study plan that you have to follow for your particular track of study. Okay. Now, what if you already have one of the certifications that are associated with the class? Security Plus is a big one. A lot of you already have your Security Plus already. What that means, as long as it is not expired by the date the first class session of the session you would be taking that class, you can get a waiver, okay? So Security Plus is a class that's typically taken in your second or even third session if you're doing 2 classes. That means that we look at your expiration date, we look at the first day of that session, and if it's expired before the first day of that session, you don't get a waiver. If it's not expired, if it's active and good, you'll get a waiver for that class. You don't need to do anything for the waiver. That is automatically done as long as we have your certification on file, which you should have uploaded with your application. If you did not, we will request it or give you the opportunity to upload it to us. So if you get a waiver because you have a specific class, you do not need to take an alternative class. That just means you have 1 less class to take. You have 5 classes to take instead of 6, or even 4 classes to take if you have A+ and Security Plus. The waivers might be provided if you already have that associated certification, okay? Now, here at the CWCT, we also realize life happens, especially for a lot of you being military or law enforcement or first responders, or especially military. You get deployed, you have military orders. Those of you who are not in those categories, work obligations, health issues, we know life happens. So we have some flexibility, not a whole lot, but we have some flexibility within this program. We allow you 3 attempts at each course in your track of study. So for A+, you get to attempt it 3 times to pass it, okay? If you do not pass a class in 3 tries, you are removed from the program, okay? So you get 3 attempts at each course in your track of study. Okay, now this is really important because I know this is going to get asked at least 1 more time, probably several times in the questions. A lot of times we get the question, can I take other classes outside of my track of study? I am in the system admin track, but I'm really interested in taking the digital forensics investigation class, so I might be able to get the CHFI certification, okay? Here's the answer to that. It's not cut and dry. You might be able to take a course outside of your track of study if there is room available after registration is done for those that need that class first. So the question is, can I take an additional courses? The answer is maybe, if there's room available. Okay. If you are ever eligible to request additional courses, you will be told that in your registration email. Okay. Registration happens 3 to 4 weeks prior to each session. Okay. Most of the time, you're not going to be able to even request additional classes until the very end. Or if you have Security Plus already, especially for you system admin students, There may be a session where you can only take cyber ops because you have security plus, and cyber ops is the prereq for both ethical hacking and cloud. So in that case, like, you're required to take cyber ops, and then you might be able to take request an additional course as your second course. Okay. Additional courses are never, ever, ever, ever guaranteed. Okay. So you can request and request and request, but if we never have room in them, you're just not going to be able to take them. Okay. So you might be able to take additional courses outside of your track if room is available. This is the same for your track of study. Okay. You are only guaranteed one track of study. Okay. That's it. You might be able to earn an additional track if you're able to take the additional courses if they're available. Okay. All right. So I already mentioned our 3 training paths: artificial intelligence, digital forensic system administration. These are going to go in, the PIs are going to go into a lot more detail for these at a later portion. So I'm not going to hit on this slide too much. I'm just going to reiterate, you chose one training path, you're only guaranteed one training path. If space remains in courses outside of your path, you might be able to take additional courses. Okay. Now, if you are able to take additional courses, let's say you request in a course, you're in system admin, and I just keep using system admin because it's our fullest track of study. But let's say you're in system admin and you're really interested in taking Python, and you request Python and you are able to take it. Okay. We will still cover the cost of the additional course. Okay. But there are no additional coverage of the certification vouchers. You get one guaranteed, that's it. If you choose to keep one of your 2 additional ones, if there's money left, if you want to use it for an additional course outside of your track of study, you may choose to do that. But remember, you're only guaranteed the 1 voucher. Okay. And again, we can never guarantee space in additional courses, and we can never guarantee completion of any additional training paths outside of your admitted training path. All right. All right. So participation, this is really important because it never fails that we drop students because they're not participating. Okay. So class participation, and I'm going to talk about what we mean by participation. Class participation is expected of you. Okay. It is expected of you to remain enrolled in this program. Okay. To demonstrate participation, you need to be completing your quizzes, your labs, your homework every week. Okay. These are not self-paced courses, and you should not be delaying submitting your assignment. So this is not oh, hey, there's only 1 week of the session left, I should probably get started on my work. No, you need to be submitting your assignments every week. Okay. If you cannot submit your assignments each week, you need to communicate with your instructor about this, okay? Because then they will work with you, because some instructors may accept late assignments, some may not. Some may only do it if you've talked to them about it first. So if you cannot be submitting your assignments each week, you need to be talking with your instructors. Typically for classes, your assignments are going to be due like every Sunday. So that's just something, keep those due dates in mind. It's going to vary by class. I'm just using that as an example. Okay. We will check participation every 2 to 3 weeks, and you will be contacted by your assigned program manager if it has been reported that you have not participated in class by submitting your assignments. Okay. If we have called you and you still have not submitted assignments after we have followed up with the instructor, you will be dropped from your course for non-participation, and that's going to count as one of your 3 attempts for the course. Okay. You need to make certain you're either attending the live Zoom lecture or watching the recordings if you cannot attend the live lectures, okay? And then it would just be helpful if you're not going to be attending the live lectures, just at the beginning of the class, once class is actually opened and started, just let your instructor know, hey, I'm on a different time zone. I'm not going to be attending the live lectures. I will be watching the recordings, just so they know that you are still active and a willing participant in the class. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier the time commitment for this program. Okay. This is really important. Again, the number one reason why people tend to withdraw from classes completely or go from 2 class to 1 class is because of the time commitment for this program. I already mentioned that each class has 6 hours of lecture each week. Okay. You then have the potential of 12 hours or more a week of homework for just one course. Okay. So if you're taking one course, that's going to be 18 hours, your 6 hours of lecture and your potential of 12 hours of homework lab time. Okay. That's 18 hours. So if you take 2 classes, that is 36 hours of commitment. That is a full-time job. Okay. Now, this potential of 12 hours, this is going to vary widely by student. Obviously, your experience, your study habits, those kinds of things. But again, our number one reason why students are not successful is they cannot commit the time, and they didn't realize, even though we've warned you guys, I don't even know in how many emails of this time commitment for this program. Some applicants don't take our warnings to heart. So it's very important not to overcommit yourself and take more classes that you can manage with work or family or your military obligations, those kinds of things. Okay. And as I mentioned before, you are not required to take 2 courses. If you registered for 2 courses and after hearing this, you think you want to go down to 1, send me an email. If you are in A+ as one of your courses, you need to stay in A+ and drop the other course, because A+ is the prereq for a lot of other courses. Okay. So just send me an email at cduncan63@ivtech.edu. Let me know that you want to drop whatever course it is for June, and we'll get that taken care of. Okay. So if you only take 1 course, can you finish in time? So as of right now, we have 6 training sessions remaining in our program before it ends. Now, it may be extended. We just don't know that, and we might not know it until next year. So if you only take 1 course and need to take 6 courses, you take 1 course each session and need to take 6 courses, you can finish by our last session in 2025. Hold on, got ahead of myself. Okay. Now, that doesn't leave you much wiggle room if you have to retake classes, if you have to take a session off, if you have to retake classes, or you need to take a session off for some reason. That means you might need to take 2 courses later on. Okay. But as of right now, you can take 1 course at a time and still be done by the end of the program. Okay. And again, we may get additional funding, other funding to get extended. We just don't know that at this time. Okay. Here's another one of our flexible policies. You can defer. So we understand sometimes students need to take a session off for one reason or another. Okay. So you can take a break. You can sit out up to 3 consecutive sessions before being removed from the program for inactivity. Okay. So if you have sat out for 3 sessions, you either need to register for that 4th session, or if you don't, you're going to be dropped from the program. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, continuation beyond these sessions will depend on the availability of future funding. Okay. Let's say stuff happens. You can't, you have to sit out a session, you have to retake classes, and you just can't finish all 6 courses by the end of this program. Okay. You can still participate in the program and just get as many of the 6 courses done as you can and get the voucher, your guaranteed voucher and possibly your additional 2. Okay. We're not going to penalize you if you can't finish all 6. We want you to finish all 6, but you can still participate even if it is expected you're not going to be able to finish all 6 of your courses. Okay. All right. So You all probably heard this program is free, and then you heard free, and you're like, what's the catch? Okay. Our program is a grant-funded program, as we've mentioned. So what are the costs covered with this program? Okay. First of all, we covered the cost of your online English, math, and IT assessments that you took during your application process. Okay. That was all free. Okay. That was covered by the cost of our grant. Okay. That includes any study paths you had to do, any training modules you had to do, and if you received any tutoring from somebody in our program or through Ivy Tech. Okay. The costs that are covered, again, we cover the test fees for one certification voucher. Again, just as a reminder, you can request up to 2 additional vouchers for a total of 3 if we have funding available. Okay. Those, if funding is available, the test fees for those 2 additional vouchers will also be covered. Okay. Now, those are test fees. Okay. Any additional proctoring fees or other fees charged by the testing site for the certification is not included. We've been doing this for 3 years now. I personally have not heard of any additional fees like that. That doesn't mean there wouldn't be any, but typically the voucher is going to cover everything. Okay. You must pass the course to receive the voucher, to receive the information for the voucher. Okay. What else is covered? The courses themselves with the live virtual faculty instruction. So you are actually getting instruction from faculty that have either been teaching in this area for years or have even employment experience in these fields. Okay. And again, for those who cannot attend the live lecture, there are the recordings. Okay. Also, what is covered? We have, as a part of this program, they're called cybersecurity support analysts. Okay. Here is their email address, cwct-support@ivytech.edu. This should also be in your class syllabi once you have access to your classes. Okay. What the cybersecurity support analysts can do. For some courses, they might be able to provide some tutoring for you. Okay. They are a form of technical support, especially for NDG NetLab, okay, which is one of the resources you're going to use in your class. Okay. And then they help develop and maintain the virtual machines that you will be using in your courses. Okay. So they're a great resource. So if you email your program manager and you're like, I need my NDG NetLab password reset, I can't access it, we're going to forward you on to the support analyst because that's the group that does that. Okay. What else is covered? Your materials in your classes. As far as I know, there's only one class that actually uses a book, and it's an online book, and that's the ethical hacking class. Everything else is going to be using different resources that are out there. Several classes use Cisco Netacad materials. Ethical hacking will actually use the CEH book. Others just use open open learning materials. So there aren't any hard books that you need to purchase. And as far as I know, even ethical hacking, I don't even think there is a hard copy of the online virtual book that is available to you. Okay. Now,
That's correct.
All right. Thanks, Anthony. I figured, but thanks for confirming that.
Yep, that's correct.
Now, the only other caveat to this is if you have to retake, if you are a system admin or digital forensics student that has to take Linux, okay, the first time you take Linux, your access code you're going to need for the course is covered. Okay. If you have to retake the class because you're dropped for non-participation, because you have to withdraw from it, because you fail it, it will not be covered after that first time, and each code is specific to that section. Okay, so if you have to retake Linux, you will be responsible for paying for the access code. Okay, at this time it's only $29.95, so it's not a huge cost, but just know that if you have to retake that class, you're going to have to pay for your access code. So pass the course the first time you take it. Okay, and I know I'm running low on time, but I believe I am almost done. Okay, I already mentioned the cybersecurity support analyst. So another thing that's covered in the costs of this program is just the support that you get from the CWCT program. Okay, I already mentioned our cybersecurity support analysts. I'm going to mention it here again because they are a form of support for this program. Okay, there may be some graduate assistants in some assigned to some courses that can that are there to help. You each have an assigned program manager. It's either going to be myself, Amber Schuler, or Fatima from UNCC. Okay, we are there to support you. Okay, if we don't know the answers to your questions, we're going to direct you to who can answer them. And if you are you know, if your program manager is either Amber or Fatima and you ask them something, they may even refer you to me because it might be something I have to do in the Ivy Tech system that they can't do. Okay, so you have your assigned program managers. Most importantly, you have your instructors there for support. Okay, they are probably your number one go-to if you start to have issues in your classes. Okay, they should be the first people that you contact. They are there to support you, and they are going to be more willing to work with you if the issues come up, if you are open and communicative with them. Okay, what else do we provide as support? As I mentioned before, you get 3 attempts at each course. Okay, that's just some of the flexibility that we provide, as well as the ability to defer or sit out up to 3 sessions. Okay, now we do not offer employment placement as a part of this program. Okay, we just don't have those resources. Okay, what we do try to do for you as a form of support is to offer fireside chats, is what we call them, but these are like workshops. They might be an employer, they might be for networking, they might be for writing a resume, just things that can help you go out and find that cybersecurity employment, as well as we have career fairs. And Steve is may or may not have time to hit on those. We don't have anything set up, but he may address those. But that is a form of support that we try to provide you. All right, that is it for that part. Amber, were there any questions that I need to address from the chat that did not get answered?
Nope, I got all of them answered. There was a question about completion rate, and I know you have that data. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. So I just said I'm deferring to Chrissy when she has a minute.
Okay, all right. I will go back and look at that. Yep.
Yeah, nope, lots of good information there, Chrissy. A lot of important details that people need to be aware of. I threw Chrissy's email in chat as well. So if you realize that you needed to change your registration at all for next session, please, reach out to her. Her email is in the chat. But this time we are going to meet some of our faculty. So you've all been registered for your courses for next session, and here's your chance to meet some of your instructors before the class starts. And if you have any questions, they're going to give you a little brief overview. If you have questions for your instructor or just about that course in general, feel free to throw those questions into chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it while everybody's introducing themselves. But one course that absolutely everybody has to take, regardless of which track you're in, is that A+ course. So some of you may have signed up for a Monday and Wednesday course. And those of you who signed up for Monday, Wednesday, you'll have Alma or Enrique. Unfortunately, Alma cannot be here tonight. And Enrique was going to be joining late. I believe his child had a band concert. But we do have our Tuesday and Thursday night instructors here. So for those of you who have John on Tuesday and Thursday night, or Professor Majid on Tuesday and Thursday night, they are both here. And I'm going to let them take the floor, introduce themselves, and talk a little bit about the A+ course.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello, thanks, Amber. And my name is Majid Mohseni. I am the professor in Ivy Tech in here, and I have been teaching over 23 years in education. And I have been with your A plus for a good 5, 6, 7 semester right now that I've been doing the same course in here. So it's been a pleasure to be able to instruct you this course and lots of information that Chrissy gave you. You know, you want to have all those like the support teams, support emails. You want to have them all handy because it's going to come so handy in near future. We are going to be talking about all of those extra helps that you can get, but we are going to be talking about your hardware and software on the basic A plus because that's the basic, that's the fundamental course that you're going to need for your other classes. I do have a lots of you could call them at hands-on or group participation projects that we do in here. So we do like people that they join us in here. I do know, I understand if you cannot join us live, so you can watch them on the video, but we do some group activities in here together in here, like go and buy some computer hardwares and work on some of the labs or assignments together in here. So if you can join us live on the video, that would be really helpful to you. And we can talk about it as, because you might have extra questions. If you're watching the video, you might not. You might not get your answer. So it's all up to you. If you have time, I definitely recommend you being here during the lesson. And if it's not, you can always get my cell number, my email, it goes on the syllabus. So you're more than welcome to do it. And during the final, like until yesterday, I've been calling every single person that have not submitted the assignment. So we will be in contact. It's not like we are going to let you on your own and everything, even though if you don't participate live in here. So, but if you guys have any other questions, anything about the course, on the first day of the class, we are going to cover many, many things in there. So even if you cannot make it to the class, I would recommend be there at least on the first day. So we can cover everything and then you can ask your questions on the first day. So I'm sure you can manage at least one day, unless if you are overseas somewhere at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or something in here. That I do understand. Other than that, please try to join us on next week, and so we will be able to get you get together and know each other first. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. John, would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how you're going to teach the class?
Sure. My name is John Lawrence. I spent the last 10 years in law enforcement, and outside of this session, I've taught the CHFI, the computer forensics class. This session, I'm teaching the A plus. I'm going to have some guest speakers to.
Yes, that's me.
You gonna put that trunk in the back seat?
Back seat.
You got it.
Thank you.
I don't know. That was weird.
So sorry.
I don't know what that was. But no, I'll have some guest speakers to talk about different aspects of computers, forensics, A plus. That's about it.
Perfect. And I didn't have any questions in chat other than the hands-on aspect, but Professor Majid really talked about that in his class as well. So yeah, thank you so much, John. We really appreciate that. All right. Then another course that everybody who is in the digital forensics and system admin track, another entry-level course that you're going to be taking is your Linux course. And I have the Bill team here tonight. So I don't know, Professor Warden, Professor McGillergy, who would like to go first?
Doctors first. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill. Sorry, I have a little bit of cold, so voice a little hoarse. So yeah, I'm Dr. Bill McGillergy. I've been teaching Linux for a couple of years now, and been in the IT field for, I don't know, 20 plus years. The cybersecurity, I consider myself kind of a generalist, excuse me, covering IT, all sorts of areas, networking, here A plus a lot here. Anyway, security, all sorts of different areas. Currently work at Microsoft in security area as well. So have always bring a lot of industry insights and what our customers are looking at and bring that to class as well. So we talk a lot about cybersecurity as well in Linux. Bill loves to talk about why Linux is important, so I'm going to let him talk about that. But so I teach again the Monday, Wednesday class, and yeah, we'll go through the book. We'll hit the high level. We're not going to read the book, so you better read it. And then we'll cover the labs and then go through any questions. So bring questions to the class. Again, watch the recordings if you can't, but try to attend because the participation and asking a lot of the questions in the class is where a lot of the value comes in. And then also try to bring a lot of the outside experience in. And we always hear a lot of different flavors of everyone coming into class, whether you're experienced and you could probably teach class all the way to the folks that have never heard of Linux before, so we get a lot of value from that experience. And Bill, go ahead. That's everything I had.
No problem. You should rest your voice, I guess.
Thanks.
So as Dr. McGillary said, I think Linux is very important. It's the reason I started teaching this program a few years ago. I just took this last session off to work on other things in my life, but it amazes me how often Linux comes up. And it has gone everywhere from the smallest little device you can think of, all the way into space. SpaceX uses Linux as their operating system of choice. And if you have an Android phone, it's a derivative of Linux. And if you're using just about anything in your life, you may not even realize uses Linux. What we're going to do with CWCT 116 is give you that core introduction to the basic functions of Linux as an operating system in a standard PC environment. But that's all you need. From there, you can really take that expertise anywhere you can think of in cybersecurity, certainly anywhere in systems administration, and anything from IoT, AI is involved. It is one of the core operating systems, along with Microsoft, that most people are familiar with. Most people just aren't as familiar with how much they use Linux because it is on what we would call the back end systems that you don't directly interface with as much. So we will get into really Linux from the command line, teaching you how to use it in a standard format, if you will, and give you, we think, the basic instructional needs that meet your basic instructional needs so that you can then use Linux as the tool it is from now and into the future. Beyond that, it's a fairly straightforward course. It uses fairly industry standard material as a combination of Cisco Netacad, as well as LPI, Linux Professional Institute material that we put together and provide it for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. There were a couple of questions that kind of popped up in chat. I don't know if you have a chance
It's
to.
really not, I think the flavors of Linux, and Bill, help me out. It's been 8 weeks since I've taught this, but I believe we deal primarily with, it's a Debian variant. I know that much, but there are 2 different ones that we deal with depending on the lab.
Yeah, the Ubuntu.
Ubuntu is the main one.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there'll be some Red Hat stuff in there. So, and then Suzy as well. So those would be the main ones.
Keep in
Those
mind
would be
that
the
at
big
the
ones
command
there.
line level, you're really not going to see that much variance. If you're working in Bash, the board again shell in Linux, that's something that works across the board and even makes it easier for you to do things like program a Cisco router or go on ahead and work in something like Darwin, which is on Macintosh computers, the Unix variant that they use. The RPi would be a wonderful thing. I'm a Raspberry Pi aficionado, as it were. And if you like working with a Raspberry Pi, you will not find anything wrong with this class because most of what you do with the Raspberry is going to be at the command line as well. If you use a Raspberry Pi for the class, that's fine. But keep in mind that the benefit of the way we've set it up is everything is in your browser. As long as you have a browser, you can do this class. If you want to go beyond that, that's up to you. But we make it so that anybody who can open up a browser can go on ahead and do this material.
Awesome. Thank you both. Thank you both. And if some of you have Yuri or Jeremy as your instructor, I don't believe either of them were able to join us tonight, but hopefully you got a good idea about what to expect in your Linux course from the two bills. If you have questions, please put them in chat for either of them to respond to. For those of you who are on the AI track, one of your entry-level courses is going to be learning that Python coding language. And I have Professor David Lieberman here and Professor Gurjin here. So David, I'm gonna cut you short, no slides tonight. But if you would like to introduce yourself and talk about the course, please have at it.
I'm going to have to read my slides so I can remember.
Yes.
My name is David Lieberman, and I'm teaching the Python CWCT 140 course. I'm a small business owner here in Silicon Valley. We started the company in 1986. We develop software, primarily C, C#, embedded, Python. And one of the questions that comes up is why Python? Why is it so important? And I can't show my slides, but I will just simply say Python is ubiquitous. It's been around a long time. There's a lot of projects in Python. Anything that you need to do, you can find a Python script somewhere, somebody who's done something similar. And that's the name of the game. Go find something that someone has done, take it, use it, modify it, make it work for you, because it's a lot easier to take something that's been working and work that over than to start from scratch. And Python has just been out there for so long. There are so many libraries, and it's cross-platform. It works on the Linux side, it works on the Windows side, the same code base. So let's see. So I'm doing the Tuesday and Thursday sessions from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central. One thing I want to mention, the Ivy Learn shell will be our point of contact for announcements, to get your Zoom links, for file sharing, but the actual course content is delivered on Netacad. And after I get the course rosters, you'll be getting an email with an invitation to join the Netacad course. And that's where we'll be doing the lectures, the programming assignments, and that's where the grade book will be maintained. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And then our other instructor who teaches on Monday and Wednesday evenings is Professor Gurjin, and I know he was here earlier. Professor Jin, would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, he may have stepped away. Okay, we'll come back to Professor Jin. For those of you who have any questions about Python, please remember to throw those questions into chat, and I'll ask David if he can answer those questions. Another course that everybody's going to be taking later on in their plan of study is going to be Cyber Ops and Security Plus. Those are two basic courses that you each will need to be taking. And I just saw Professor Alf came into the room for Cyber Ops. Professor Alf, I'm going to give you a minute to gather yourself. But when you're ready, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about the Cyber Ops course, that would be wonderful.
Sure, thanks. Sorry about that. Been a crazy semester for me.
Yeah.
All right. Glad to be with you guys, and looking forward to the next session. We will go over a bunch of different tools and operating systems and get you prepared for the field. And if what I like to do is run what I call a flipped classroom, where you guys will get hands-on with the labs. I know many of you busy professionals, some of you active, current military. Thank you for your service, you and former service folks. But so to take some of that burden off of you for the workload, I'll ask you to read the lab or read the chapters outside of class, and then bring any questions, and then we use the labs as fodder to get some more discussion going about the various topics. So it's a really complimentary, I think, approach, and wanting everybody to pass 100% pass rate, and then go on, hopefully, to get that Cisco Cyber Ops cert. So that's kind of the approach we'll take. And we'll talk more about what I think they've covered, some of the cert voucher stuff, and I'll kind of share with you some of the tips that I think can help you with that too.
Thank you so much, Professor Alf. You are the representative for Cyber Ops tonight, so your entry was a perfect time.
Okay, all right. Sorry, hopefully I wasn't too late.
No, not at all. So if anybody has any questions regarding Cyber Ops for Professor Alf, I'm just going to ask you to throw it into chat, and if he has time to respond to it, that would be awesome. Unfortunately, our Security Plus instructors, both of them were unable to join us tonight. But just know Security Plus is going to be a course that you'll be taking later on in your program. And when we get to the program section where our PIs are going to talk specifically about each track, they'll talk a little bit about that Security Plus course at that time. So you'll still get some info about it, just unfortunately the instructors couldn't join us for that. So for those of you who are in the system admin track, 2 courses that you'll be taking at the end will be your ethical hacking course and your cloud system administration course. And I know both instructors are here tonight, so I'm going to have the ethical hacking instructor, Professor Ford, come on and introduce himself and talk a little bit about that course.
Hi, I'm Professor Ford, and I teach ethical hacking. I've actually been doing it for quite a while with this program, most of the program, and it's a fun course. I like it. I am kind of a geek, but then I guess kind of all of us are in here. And so, yeah, it's kind of expected of us to be that way in here. But it's a fun course. I enjoy teaching it. Most of you, by the time that you get to my course, you're interested in going ahead and getting the CEH certification. It's a good cert to have. And so it's also expensive, which is one of the reasons you want us to pay for it instead of you. And I understand that. So we'll be playing with that a bit. I've been doing more and more labs, secondary labs, showing you different things, because being able to have a better understanding of how things play, we get to play. Okay, so we'll have some fun with that. And beyond that, enjoy getting to us. You know, the more you understand before you get to this class, the better off it'll be for you, because this class is comprehensive really over everything else that you have learned. And so it's accumulation. Go for it. Have fun.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. So the other course that you're going to be taking, System Admin People, is going to be your cloud course, and Professor Paul Benfield is here tonight to talk about that. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Paul Benfield. Been in IT for 25, 30 years, been in education for about 20 of those years. Want to thank all the military and first responder people for all that you do. My family's been in the military. My son's active duty right now. My wife's been a veteran. I've been a first responder on the volunteer side of things for 30 years in the fire and EMS side, so that's awesome. Actually love technology, love cloud computing. Absolutely love the cloud computing class, system admin class. It's using OpenStack. We'll be using the NetLab environment. It's going to be labs. You'll be creating servers virtually and working with virtual networking, users, groups, all those kinds of things. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I go through each of the labs specifically with each step by step because it can be a little confusing along the way, but I'm here to help you. I want to connect with you, trying to make myself available to you to answer those questions so you don't get stuck. It might be one of those classes that you probably haven't done before, so it would be usually pretty new for most people. So just letting you know that we're here to help you, though.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate that for sure. And then for those of you in the digital forensics track, one of the last courses you'll be taking is your digital forensics investigation course. And we have your instructor here tonight, Professor Tagashi. Would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your course?
Sure. Hi, sorry. I've been trying to eat my supper at the same time.
Oh.
So,
multitasking at its best.
yes. Oh, we have to. Well, welcome all. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be going over the computer hacking forensics investigator certification for EC Council. We'll be talking through the process, as well as covering the different topics and try to cover some of the domains in that. I hope to give you some also extra resources so that you can kind of get a deeper understanding of some of the stuff. We'll talk about experiences as well as stuff that pertain to the certification itself. I try to bring in a couple of speakers every term, and so we'll see what we can do. I am the president of the Indiana chapter for InfoGuard, so I have some contacts from FBI. So I'm trying to talk one of my contacts there to see if he'd be available for one of our sessions. So I do bring in those experts. You know, I know you all are also have been in the field as well, but it's kind of nice to have some of them that are in the field and kind of give you some advice as to how to kind of get into that direction that they're going into. And and support, yeah, please feel free to start with me. And if I don't know, I have a plethora of people that I'll broadcast to if I don't. So,
you got connections, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just saw Professor Gurjin pop back in, the Python instructor for Monday and Wednesday evening. Gur, would you like to do a quick intro and talk about your class quick?
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jin. I'm a professor of computer information technology and graphics at the Purdue Northwest. I taught the Python essential course on January and February, and I checked the Ivy Learn the Canvas course. I saw about 20 some students currently enrolled, and the Python course has two different modules. One is the basic. The second is a little bit more advanced with object-oriented programming, exception handling, and other advanced topics. So the course is actually in the Net Academy, Cisco Net Academy, and the course require to finish all the required tests and exams. So every week you need to finish a 10-question quiz, and every 4 weeks you have a module test, which you need to pass that test with 70 points or higher to move to the next session. And before the finish, you need to finish the second module test and the final exam. So some student, you actually have a multiple chances to take the test. If you did not pass with a 70 or higher, you can still wait a couple of minutes or even an hour, review what you did wrong in the previous test, and just retake the test to pass with a 70 or higher. The higher score will be better because the overall grade is calculated based on the test as well as assignment and lab assignment. So homework and the lab assignment, which is basically the programming assignments, I will work with all the students to demo some part of the assignment and the lab. So if you did good for your test, you could miss a couple of lab assignments, you can still pass. So I encourage everyone to follow the test. And if you get the lower score for certain tests, you can retake it to get the better score. But the test was set up like the latest attempt will be recorded. So if your previous test is 60, but second one was 50, the last one will be recorded. You can try multiple times. I don't think there's a limitation. You can take until you are satisfied. And I don't know how many Python Essential students are in this June meeting, but I hope to see you guys all on June 3rd, first class. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor. Appreciate that. All right, Chrissy, we went a little bit over into your time, so I'm going to give you my extra minutes at the end. So please take all the time you need. So
All right.
Chrissy's going to be going over Ivy Learn and your My Ivy account. So if you want to log in at the same time and kind of click along with her, that way you're familiar with where she is and how it looks on your platform as well. So Chrissy, here you are.
Sure. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to keep my screen or my camera off just because I'm going to be sharing my screen and, that's what I want you focusing on. I also apologize. It just started storming really, really bad here. So hopefully I don't lose internet connection or anything. So tonight, I am going to discuss two big pieces of technology that you will be using as a participant in this program. Some of you asked questions in the chat that are going to relate to this part when we're talking about Ivy Learn and access to the class and resources and those kinds of things. So this is the part that you need to be paying attention to, okay? So you've already actually used both of these pieces when you went through the application process. To access your assessments, but I'm going to discuss more closely how they relate to your participation in your courses. And then while this program is made up of the consortium of the 4 universities, as we mentioned previously, it's the Ivy Tech system is what you're going to be using to actually complete complete your coursework through Ivy Learn. Okay, so tonight we're going to be looking at My Ivy, which is your student portal, as well as Ivy Learn, which is how you will access your courses for your virtual lectures, your coursework, your syllabus, etc. Okay, so there are several different ways to get to both My Ivy and Ivy Learn. So you will find that Ivy Tech likes to name everything with the word Ivy in it. And it could get really confusing as to what is what. So I'm going to do my best to try to explain the difference between them for you. So again, a couple different ways. And again, if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I do have to hop off as soon as I'm done with my part because I have to take my daughter to dance class. So, but somebody should hopefully be able to answer your questions for you when I get off. So, the first way that you could get to My Ivy as well as Ivy Learn is through the main Ivy Tech website. And that's just ivytech.edu. Okay, you will see here at the top, there's a tab for My Ivy, and here's a tab for Ivy Learn. Okay. You can also get to, I'm going to talk about My Ivy first. You can get to it by going directly to, it's going to be HTTPS. There's no www, but it's myiv.ivytech.edu. Okay, so you could just bookmark that, and you should be able to get to that. So when you log in, it's going to obviously ask you for your information. If you ever forget your password or need your password reset, then you could just go to here to reset or forgot password. If you never set up your Microsoft authentication key, which most of you should have with the process, but if you did not do that, you're not going to be able to reset your own password, and you're going to have to contact our help desk, which is 1-888-IVY line, LINE. If you ever call our IT help desk number, you need to have your C number as well as your Ivy Tech email address. And if they ever say they can't find you in the system, you need to make sure you let them know that you are a non-credit student. There's a different way they have to look you up. And unless they know that, they might not be able to find you. Okay. So if we log in to my Ivy, I believe mine should already, because my password is saved. So here is my Ivy. Okay. Now, please also note, we do not keep records of your password. So don't ask me to for your password because I won't know it. Okay, you have to go to that reset. The other recommendation, two other quick recommendations. You'll either want to use Chrome as your browser, or Firefox as your browser, or even Safari. You need to stay away from what used to be Windows Explorer. I can't even remember the name of it, the new one now, but you want to stay away from that. Chrome is typically the recommended browser that you are going to want to use, okay? The other thing, if you are going to be located outside of the United States at any point during your classes, you need to email me this information, again, cduncan63@ivytech.edu, because I need to send your information to our information security team so that they don't think it's some kind of fraud that you're trying to log in from outside of the United States, okay? And then a note gets put on your account that you're going to be logging in. Obviously, some areas are going to be more likely to be where your account can get locked. So that note needs to go onto your account. So if you're going to be located outside of the US, send me an email and I'll get that information to our information security team. Okay, so you'll log into your My Ivy account using your Ivy Tech email address. Make sure it's your Ivy Tech email address. This was provided to you in your application process, and then by using the password that you developed, okay? Your My Ivy portal will look slightly different than mine as far as which links are being displayed, since you have a student view and I have a staff view. But the concepts I'm about to discuss will be the same, okay? I would recommend everybody have their C number and their Ivy Tech email address in a safe place. I ask you to, when you originally got that My Ivy email, I asked you to keep that email for future reference. But it never fails. People email me asking me for their C number, especially if they've been locked out of their account. So keep that C number and that Ivy Tech email address in a different safe place. You'll know where to get it. If you can log into your My Ivy, it is up here at the top in the left. Okay. So there are essentially two big pieces you want to become familiar with here within My Ivy, okay? The two big pieces you'll want to know are how to access Ivy Learn as well as your student email, okay? As a participant, both of these should be listed in your dashboard, which is right here in the middle. Again, Ivy Learn is here for me, but the email is not. And actually, the email is actually up here now. In the upper left-hand corner, because they changed. We used to use Gmail and now we use Outlook, okay? Many of these other links, like your schedule, your account balance, if you even see these are not applicable to you, okay? Because you are in workforce training courses and they're non-credit. If you click on My Schedule, you are not going to see your schedule because you're in non-credit courses, okay? This is why when you registered, and again, some of you may have just now gotten your registration emails, I send a confirmation of your classes, days, times, all of that, once you are registered to confirm your registration, and so you have your schedule, because you cannot see it in your My Ivy, okay? Ivy Learn should be listed in your quick links section. Again, it's right here for me. If it is not, you can click on the See All link or even do a search for it, and you can favorite it by clicking on the little heart next to it. Okay. And then it would show up in your favorites part, but it should be right here in your quick links. Okay. As of January 23, so it's been over a year now, Ivy Tech transitioned all student email from a Gmail platform to the Outlook platform, okay? So the easiest way to check your student email is by simply clicking on this email up here at the top, okay? Link up in the upper left-hand section. And then you should be able to add your account on the Outlook app so that you could actually check it on your phone, those kind of things. If you are already using Outlook for like a work email or even a personal email, you may need to add your account to it. And you should be able to Google how to do that based on your particular phone and browser and all of that good stuff, okay? Due to student privacy laws, your Ivy Tech email should be the email you are using to communicate with us, okay? We need to know it's coming from you, okay? Any educational requests, we cannot share your educational information with others. So it's all going to be sent to your Ivy Tech email, okay? So, and then that's how you need to send emails to us. So again, we know it's coming from you. So you need to make sure you're checking your Ivy Tech email regularly, okay? Every day, every other day, but on a regular basis, okay? Also, sometimes our emails can go to spam or in Outlook, I think it's actually called clutter, okay? So I would highly recommend that you are also checking that folder occasionally as well, pretty regularly as well, just to make sure there's no important emails from us that are going into that spam folder, okay? And sometimes that can just happen because we're a consortium and we've got the other universities involved. Ivy Tech is thinking that it's, you know, not a legitimate email for some reason. So just be checking that clutter folder as well as your normal email, okay? Now, so there's a lot of stuff in here as well. As a student, you also get access to a lot of, because you're in the Ivy Tech system, you get access to a lot of stuff Ivy Tech students get access to as well. If you do a search here, you get access to LinkedIn Learning, and there are a lot of great resources for a lot of different things on there. Sometimes I forget to mention that, but I think if you just do a search here for LinkedIn Learning, you'll be able to find it. So that's one thing that people ask about. You also get access to Office 365. And you should be able to search that as well and be able to access, you know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all of those Office platforms, okay? So now the big piece I know you've all been waiting for. How exactly do you complete your virtual classes, okay? How do you access these, okay? These are going to be through Ivy Learn, okay? Ivy Tech calls it Ivy Learn. It's actually Canvas is the system. So if any of you have been in college and have used Canvas or Blackboard or Brightspace, it's just the online learning management system that Ivy Tech uses. So again, you can access Ivy Learn through the main Ivy Tech website, through your My Ivy by clicking on Ivy Learn, or even going directly to the website, which is ivylearn.ivytech.edu. Again, I would bookmark it, so that you have easy access to it, okay? Now, you will notice when you go into Ivy Learn on the left-hand side, there is an inbox menu item, okay? I just got done talking about email. So I want to show you the difference or talk about the difference between your email and your Ivy Learn inbox. This inbox is not the same thing as your student email, okay? It is another way to directly communicate with your instructors. So if you go in here, it's essentially a way to link your course and to email those directly associated with your courses. So your instructor, it can even be your classmates, those kinds of things, okay? You cannot message me through this or your assigned program manager if it's
Oops, I think we lost Chrissy there. I know she mentioned storms blowing through, so she may have lost her internet connection for a minute. And Yeah, I think that she should be popping back on here shortly. Give her a second. All right. Well, while we wait for Chrissy to come back on, let's go ahead and let's move on to talking about the different tracks. So each of you were admitted to a track, and we have our PIs here tonight to talk a little bit more about those tracks. And I'm going to ask if Professor Farina Sakib could do the AI track first. Farina, are you comfortable hopping on?
Yes, yes, Amber. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot, but we'll hop out of sequence until
not.
Chrissy.
Sure. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome on board. So I'll be starting off with the tracks. As you may be aware of this web page by now, the linked PNW Cybersecurity CWCT. This is the go-to. We have the the training paths that we have are cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, system administration, and digital forensics. So you, based on your choice and the program managers you may have talked to and picked, one of these where you can learn the core areas which you will be specifically learning in the three tracks. So for the artificial intelligence, just like the other three tracks, we follow the 6-course program in which the first 3 courses, that is CompTIA A plus, Security Plus, and Cyber Ops, these serves as the core courses. They are common between all the 3 tracks. And I am going to very specifically talk about the artificial intelligence, but at the end, I believe Dr. Tu will explain the core courses which are common among all the 3 tracks. So specifically in the AI track, which like all the others, first the 3 core courses are required, but the sequence how you take these core courses may be different, which you can discuss with your program manager, which sequence you may take. Students can take up to 2 courses per session, which is recommended. You can take more if you can adjust with your schedule, but we have seen that 2 courses per session works the best, 1 or maybe 2. So once you complete these core courses, you may be able to take these 3 advanced courses in the track of AI, including Python Essentials, AI or machine learning in cybersecurity, and IoT and hardware security. Please do remember that the last 2 courses, which are the advanced courses, AI in cybersecurity and IoT, Python Essential is a prerequisite. So other than these 3 courses, you may also want to schedule taking the course on Python Essential such that you have a flexibility of taking these other 2 advanced courses. So this track is very important. As you may have seen, this chip act and a lot of stuff happening in the machine learning. So this is really up and coming. There are a lot of job opportunities in this track, especially the training that you get in Python. This is pretty much this language is used in all the IT level or cyber security positions. So these are really important go-to courses. In the Python Essential, you learn about the basics of Python, how to use packages, how to do function calls. It's an interpreted language. You have hands-on experience. You do labs, weekly projects which are submitted, and then assignment-based training. And then once you have the basics of Python taken care of that you have learned, you will be using that skill in completing some of the labs which are covered in the machine learning, in cybersecurity, as well as IoT and hardware security. But do remember there are other skills needed. So this is not just Python based, the other 2 courses. In the AI and cybersecurity, course. This is a foundation level machine learning course, and in that you learn what is machine learning, how do you do model training, how do you do testing on different applications of machine learning modeling, both supervised and unsupervised training. So this is basically a foundational course. There may be some advanced courses that you will be ready to take once you complete that course. Lastly, the course on IoT and hardware security, it's a hands-on, like the AI course, it's a hands-on course. You work on different platforms like FPGA field programmable gate array. You work on microprocessors and different levels of abstraction. You interface with the hardware, including at the hardware level, at the architecture level. You will also learn some instruction set architecture level microcoding. So this is a very interesting course. Again, it's more like an introduction, which prepares you to take more advanced courses and to make you ready to learn, at least know the terms and have hands-on experience on state-of-art equipment. So that's pretty much the track of AI. Again, this is a sample session, how you can plan out if you're in the AI track. All right.
Thank you so much for jumping in so off. Of course, we appreciate it. If anybody has questions, or they're in the AI track, or they're thinking about the AI track, please go ahead and put those in chat. And Professor Farina, would you mind answering any questions that might pop up?
Yes, I'll keep an eye on. Yeah, I don't think we have any questions at this moment, but if there are any, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much. And Chrissy, I think you are back on. You have power again and internet back up and running.
Yep, I'll need Farina to stop sharing her screen, please. Thank you. All right. Okay, so the inbox is not the same as your Ivy Tech email. I'm just gonna hop in right where I left off, okay? So again, to message it's directly related to your classes, okay? So don't check this thinking this is your Ivy Tech email, because it's not, okay? So now your courses, if you click on your courses, are either going to be listed in your dashboard, or under courses, there's going to be a list here, okay? You may need to click, you may need to click on all courses to see your list of all courses. But here is where your courses should be listed, okay? Now, this got asked, okay? An important thing to note is that the courses will not appear in Ivy Learn until about 2 days before your first class session, okay? This is this is Ivy Learn. This is not us. This is a requirement of the system itself, okay? So what that means, here's a little handy chart for you, okay? If your class is a Monday, Wednesday class, okay, your first day of class is Monday, June 3rd, okay? That means your course will not, more than likely, not show up on Ivy Learn until Saturday, June 1st, okay? If you are in a Tuesday, Thursday class, your first day of class is Tuesday, June 4th. That means it will not show up in Ivy Learn until Sunday, June 2nd, okay? We cannot give you early access. It's a restriction of the program itself, of Ivy Learn itself, okay? Your classes will show up 2 days before the first class session, okay? Now, even if you see the course listed, okay? Back up. So if you try to go in and look for your courses right now, you are not going to see them, because we're more than 2 days away, okay? Even if you are registered in them, you're not going to see them right now. You have to wait until that 2 days before, okay? Please note that even when they show up on Ivy Learn, okay, your instructor still needs to have published the course in order for you to have access to it, okay? So they are not required. We ask them to publish it by the Friday before classes start, but sometimes things happen that they might not get to it until the first day of class, okay? Please be patient. I know you guys are excited. I know you're ready to get started. I know you want to go in there and start doing stuff. You just have to have patience, okay? So even if you see your course, you might not be able to click on it. So you'll see on your dashboard, there's published courses and there's unpublished courses. So if a course is not, like, let's say it's Saturday and your course is listed here in unpublished courses, that means you just have to be patient and wait for your instructor to publish it before you can have access to it, okay? Same thing here. If you go under the courses tab and you click on all courses, it will tell you if a course is published or not, okay? So please just have patience. Now, I am going to use one of my past courses to kind of show you how to access past enrollments, how to access Ivy the Zoom. Let me find it here. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to use one of my classes I took as an online class to show you how it will look once you go in. So you will see when you click on the course, once you have access to it, you're going to see a menu here in the course itself on the left. You need to make sure you're reading your course announcements, which will show up on the home page, or you can actually read the announcements. You'll want to carefully read the syllabus, which will be under your syllabus tab when it becomes available, okay? Now, the modules tab, the thing about our program is each course is going to look a little different because of the other resources that are used, okay? Some classes, we mentioned Cisco NetAcad is used. Some courses you will need to utilize NDG NetLab. I think there's one that uses a thing called FTK. So you might not have, where I took a class through actual Ivy Tech and everything was in Ivy Learn. You may not have anything here under the modules, or it may refer you to those other programs, okay? So you'll want to go in here and just look and see what's in there. The best thing I can honestly recommend to you, I know you're excited to get started, but I would just honestly recommend waiting until that first day of class because your instructor will explain how everything works for you. The other thing I want to recommend, if your class is using NetLab, NetAcad, or one of those other resources, you may get an invite, and it was mentioned, you may get an invite for those before the classes start. Do not make your account until you get instructions from your instructor on the first day of class, okay? Because what happens is a student will go in, make an account, and then there's something that they missed to directly relate it to that particular class, okay? So again, I know you guys are excited and ready to start, but just be patient and wait for all your instructors' instructions on how to access this stuff in Ivy Learn during the first class session, okay? It's just, it's a lot easier for you and it's a lot easier for us to figure out when things go wrong if you wait and follow instructions, okay? So the big piece you need to know is how to access the live lectures via Zoom or even the recorded lectures, okay? If you cannot make the designated day and time. So here on the left, we make it really easy for you, okay? You go into your class in Ivy Learn, and there is a Zoom link here on the left within the class, okay? If you click on that, you are more than likely going to have 3 tabs: upcoming meetings, previous meetings, and cloud recordings if they are recording them to the cloud, okay? So I do not have any upcoming meetings because this is a past class, okay? Everything's done and over with. Once your class gets developed and published and ready to go, you should have a list of all the upcoming meetings, and you'll be able to simply go in and click on the meeting to access that Zoom meeting if you're attending the live lecture, okay? If you missed a class and it already happened, you are going to go under the previous meetings tab, okay? Now, this class I took was back in 2020, so it was 4 years ago. Classes only stay, the stuff for classes only stay, like the Zooms, only stay in there for 90 days after the class, okay? So, but your previous meetings will be listed and you'll be able to go in and click on those previous meetings. Now, my instructor happened to also record to the cloud. So those cloud recordings are still in there, even though the class was 4 years ago. So to watch previous meetings, you either need to go to previous meetings or cloud recordings and click on the meeting to watch the recording, okay? Super simple, but students still sometimes miss this part of it and ask, how do I find those meetings? Okay. So if you go in here on your first day and there aren't any upcoming meetings listed for some reason, okay, please check your announcements tab, as the instructor may have put the link in the announcements, okay? Or check in the syllabus, because they may have put the link in the syllabus. Or instructors are asked to email you guys the weekend before classes start. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. We ask them to put the link in those emails as well, okay? So if it is not listed here under upcoming meetings, check the announcements, check the syllabus, and check your Ivy Tech email for an email for that link, okay? It is more than likely in one of those places, okay? Now, just to let you know, program managers and support staff of the CWCT program will more than likely not be able to assist you if you're having problems accessing the course on your first day, because all these courses start at 6 p.m. Central, and more than likely we will be out of the office around 5, okay? Sometimes later, okay? So if you are having troubles accessing your class on that first day, it's 6 o'clock, you can't find the Zoom, you can't find the class, you should contact your instructor first. But please be aware, they are now in the middle of teaching class, so they might not be able to respond to you until later, okay? That's okay. You can always go in the next day and watch the recording once you can get assistance from myself or your program manager or your instructor, okay? That's it for that part. And then, just as I mentioned before, Ivy Learn is the company's Canvas. There is a Canvas app that you can download, but more than likely you're not going to be able to actually do like your assignments and stuff on it. But it would be helpful for you to be able to message your instructor through that inbox, or keep track of your due dates of your assignments, or things like that. So it's still recommended, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to have to do in Cisco NetAcad or NDG NetLab, things like that. I think that is it for that part. Were there any questions, especially since I got kicked off? I didn't get to any questions that might have been answered before I got kicked off.
Yeah, no, I think we've been keeping up on all of that, so I think we're good.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome. And then, okay, so now shifting back to those program overviews. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for wrapping up all things Ivy, my Ivy and Ivy Learn. I'm going to actually have, oh, Dr. Tu's already shared his screen. He's ready to go. Dr. Tu, would you like to talk about the digital forensics track?
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so I think Professor Prerna Sakib has already talked about some of the course, right? And maybe the paths. So I will just directly take you to the digital forensics one, okay? Digital forensic path. And so it's the same at the same location, right? The same path. It's the PNW cybersecurity and the CWCT. Okay, so each of the paths, we have 6 cores, right? So we have 3 common core cores and then 3 path-specific cores. So for the forensics ones, you can see, right? So we have like Linux and the forensics and the digital forensic investigation. Okay, so those are the 3 specific cores. Okay, so APOS course is very, I mean, it's one of the core, right? So it's a very basic course. It's only teach about the computer setup and components and a little bit about network. So here is kind of like the mass share of that course, okay? So it may have a little bit difference. I don't think there's too much of different updates for this course, okay? So basically, it's all about the computer component setup, right, and hardware things, and then it will go to the network setup, and it does cover 2 weeks of network fundamentals because we don't have a specific network course. This is the one will cover the very basic about the network, okay, and using the packet tracer, okay. So then we're talking about how we can connect the mobile device and, make you to create accounts, right? And then some of the security features set up like BitLock, right? Security policies, firewalls, and even users, right? Okay. So those are all the basic things. By the way, all of these, our courses are like at least half of them are hands-on labs, right? So that's how we set up 3 hours lecture and 3 hours of hands-on at least, okay? So that's about APOS. And the second course is I think it's a security class, right? Okay. So as you can see here, I guess everybody can read my screen, right? I forgot to ask. So then, it will cover basically all the components or aspects, security path certification want to test, okay? So it will cover of course, fundamentals, right? The principles and then the basic concept about threats, attack, vulnerability, risk, right? And then it will talk about all kinds of like security, network security, right? That's the core, okay? And we have like application security, web security. So those are the fundamental security topics needs to be covered. And as you can see, it did not also cover the pen testing process. I don't think we cover too much about the Windows break-in, right? Or system break-in. Maybe they will have like one lab about that. And then we have the cryptographic. And when we're talking about cryptography, is mainly for the later one, we're going to use about count, right? How we are going to do the authentication, authorization, access control. So this is all about access control, right? Account security data controls public key, private key, right? To do that. And then, of course, network is always, the most, it's one of the core, right? Okay. And then it does talk about how we can do scanning, right? I think this is about scanning to discover the networks and then analyze the traffic and mobile device, make sure they are secure, right? After that, then the final topic is about the risk management and disaster recovery. That one thing I thought is very important. It may be covered somewhere else. Is about the security management program, right? Like policies. So I know I don't know if Glenn is here, but it should have something covered that the policy scenes, okay? In a security program development. Okay, so that's about the security parts. I know it maybe I will talk too much, right? Okay, so then the next one, SecOps. This is more about the security operations. So it's mainly this one probably has 70% of the course is about hands-on. Okay, so you have to do a lot of labs. So it basically is just doing how you set up the system, make it secure. So as you can all see this, right? This is all about the setup. Okay, process, registry analysis, PowerShell. That's how to automate that, right? And Wireshark analysis, a lot of Wireshark analysis, and even malware analysis, right? And it's about the all kinds of like SQL, attacks, right? Okay, and then firewall, encryption, decryption, right? All this kind of this all hands-on stuff. So it has IDS and firewall stuff. Okay, so this is the security operations. Okay. No, well, for the forensic, but I will not cover the Linux because I think Dr. Shi will cover that. Okay, so for the forensics, actually, we have two forensic course. One is the digital forensic investigator. That should be your first forensic course before this. That's the first course, even though the number is 255. So this course is basically covers the fundamental topics about the forensic investigation, like procedures, law and regulations, right? Evidence rules, something like that. And then, we're talking about the basic about computers, forensics, right? Computer, like file systems, Windows forensic password. So this will only cover some very basic, okay? And it's supposed to have a component about the network security, like forensics, right? And this one's about, file recovery. So it should have a network, right? Because this is about hacking forensics, right? Okay. So that's about the internet crime, right? Okay. So then the last one is the computer forensics. This one is more about Windows forensics. As you can see, this is developed totally by us, right? So we don't cover the law regulation because CHFI course already covered that. So we will cover the forensic tools, which is like FTK because it's a more complex tool. Okay, and then it will cover like file systems, Windows registry, Windows system, like operating systems, right? And a little bit covers applied decryption, network forensics, and internet application like cloud, browser. Basically, it's a browser, right? Okay, browser, Win browser forensics. Okay, so these are the two topics about Windows forensics. Okay, so we're using FTK and the other one using autopsy, right? And then if you are going to take the mobile forensics, and then you are using Celebrite. Okay, so but that course is we're not offer all the time. We only offer one time. Okay. Okay, I think that's pretty much about all the Windows forensic track. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Tu. And then Dr. Shi, whenever you're ready to share your screen, and Dr. Shi is going to talk about the system admin track.
Sure. So I think, I hope you can see my screen or my shared window.
Yep, it's up.
Okay, great. It's my great pleasure to just to give a very brief introduction about this system administration track. So basically, we also have 6 courses in this track, and 3, as you can see, are foundation courses that are across all 3 tracks. Then we have this specific track related courses. They are Linux system administration, ethical hacking, and cloud system administration. The Linux system administration is also shared with other track like the computer forensics. And as you can see that this is the suggested sequence of course taking. Because I don't have much time, so I will just give a very brief introduction about the Linux system administration and ethical hacking. For cloud system administration, this is a course we developed. So there is no really industry equivalent course. It's actually, yes, there is one. To be fair, that's from Red Hat, but they recently changed and make a lot of changes. But we develop our content based on purely open source project called OpenStack. So basically, we don't rely on any particular vendor. Okay, for Linux, it's essentially the content is equivalent to or based on this NDG Linux 1 or Introduction to Linux 1. And I believe you will see this similar kind of the content or modules. So originally we used Red Hat, but then later they start to charge a very expensive fee on using their content. So and it's really not worth that. So we switch back to this Linux 1, which is more independent, vendor independent. And we think that content is equivalent and even better because we have NDG or their NetLab environment for you to practice, which is much more stable than Red Hat, their own environment based on our past experience. So you can see that these are the modules you will go through, and for each of them, you will have a lab. So you certainly will get very solid hands-on experience after going through all those modules. So that's basically about Linux 1. Of course, it's you will have some corresponding Linux certification. I think here is CompTIA Linux Plus. That's probably not 100% aligned with this CompTIA because we are not using their content, but in terms of the scope, in terms of the topics, I believe they are largely equivalent. So second is about the ethical hacking. This is aligned with EC Council, CEH. So you basically will use the actual EC Council content for this course. And these are, I just show you the modules that you are supposed to go through, and you can see they are pretty comprehensive, right? They cover really different aspects of their ethical hacking, like the scanning, like reconnaissance, vulnerability analysis, and then the threat analysis, sniffing, so social engineering, and also about web security and IDS and wireless. Of course, you can see that this course covers a lot of different topics, so you may not get very in-depth content, but you should have, after going through this course, you should have a very good comprehensive understanding of this ethical hacking, this overall area. Here, the cloud system administration, as we don't have a equivalent vendor provided content, but as I mentioned, we basically based on our content on OpenStack, which is a industry standard cloud platform used by many leading vendors or leading companies such as certainly Red Hats have their own kind of variant, and also the Rackspace, and also like by NASA. Originally, it was developed by NASA. NASA was part of that, and then also IBM, I think, also is part of the users group. So if you go to OpenStack.org, I think you can find many other players or supporters. And so we basically cover how you can create instance, how you can create a network, how you can create a user group, and essentially how you can showing many aspects in operating OpenStack cloud. Okay, so the hands-on also, we developed I think 5 or 6 hands-on labs, so you will have an opportunity to experience to create a tiny but full-fledged OpenStack environment. Okay, I think that's I already have yeah, so I will get this stage back to you, I guess.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. C. And I didn't see any questions in chat regarding the system admin track, so I think we're good to go.
Thank you.
Yes. And actually we are finishing up a few minutes early, so I'm going to give you all 5-6 minutes back of your evening. So thank you all for coming out tonight and joining us for orientation. We will be, we're recording this session. We will load it up onto YouTube, and I will be emailing that YouTube link to everybody. Probably give us until like Thursday, Friday to get this edited and loaded. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, Chrissy, or your other program manager, Steve or Fatima, if you have any questions regarding anything that was covered tonight. Otherwise, everybody have a wonderful evening.
Hi.
Bye, girl. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, Dr. Tu.
Bye.
All
Thank
right.
you, Amber. Have a good night, Amber.
Thank you. Yep. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Good night. Yeah.
Good night. All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close out this meeting. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Amber. Really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.